Okay, to start with a show of hands. Who here grew up playing video games? Okay, not bad. I can see I'm in quite good company here. So, another show of hands then. Who here grew up watching somebody else play video games? Yeah, right. Well, this was exactly the case for me. When I was a kid, I didn't consider myself a gamer because we didn't have the hardware. But what I did spend a lot of time doing is watching my cousin play video games, just like some of these. Now, if you can name all of these games, I'll be incredibly impressed. Come and find me in the bar afterwards. But it poses the question, why should we be watching video games instead of playing them? And the answer really is quite a simple one. It's because video games are great storytelling. Now, all of these games share a common trait. They give the player opportunities for surprising narrative accidents to occur. Because when we talk about things like the original Tomb Raider, we don't talk about Lara Croft fighting wolves or recovering mysterious artifacts from the lost city of Atlantis. What we talk about is locking the butler in the freezer. And it's the same with the original GoldenEye on N64. Does anyone really remember the plot of that? No, not particularly. But if you played it, you will remember getting stuck in this wall-in facility. Now, neither of these things were planned to be the case. They're both mistakes in a way. But they're a huge part of the story of both of these games. And it's something I'm still talking about 20 years on. And why is that? It's because the story isn't just what's happening on the screen. It's also our experience of it. Stories are shared cultural narratives. And when you're a video games writer like I am, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to create a story. Not just the text on the screen, but something players are going to want to talk about and remember and share with each other and the wider world for years to come. So I'm lead writer on a game called Shadows of Doubt. It's an immersive, procedurally generated detective game, and it's won multiple awards for its innovation, gameplay, and its narrative. It's an 8-year labor of love from a small and incredibly dedicated indie team, and it features some of our best creative work. It also uses AI. Not generative AI, like Midjourney or ChatGPT, but the type of AI systems you find in many similar games. And here's where things get a bit trickier. Because while AI might be a super powerful tool in certain situations, it can't tell a story. And I know there's going to be some people out there who disagree with me on this, so let me elaborate. Using generative AI to replace creativity is to replace magic with sterility. This is something that's super important to remember at a time when many industries, the game industry included, is battling the temptation to outsource creativity. Leaving aside the staggering environmental cost and the troubling inherent cultural biases, when you replace creativity with AI, it's essentially like asking a weightlifting robot to lift weights for you and then complaining you're not putting on any muscle. But I'm not naive. I work in the industry. I know that AI is here. So where does that leave us? Well, here are a few things that I've learned from my years in the games writing trenches about storytelling, shared experiences, and the places where AI might conceivably have a role. For me, really, it comes down to 3 things: creativity, intentionality, and integrity. Great storytelling is about the process, not simply about achieving the end result. Stories are about shared communication, those serendipitous moments of storytelling that occur. You have to leave room for the unexpected, and that's something AI isn't good at. People talk about using AI to boost productivity, but creating a work of art isn't just about getting something done. It's about the act of creation in itself, in all of its messy, idiosyncratic, imperfect forms. The goal isn't just about getting something done. The worst reason to write a novel is because you want to be published. But what AI can do in certain situations is to create an environment where those serendipitous moments of storytelling can occur, especially within an authored environment. Great stories come from experience, intentionality. If there's any writers in the room, you will have heard the maxim, write what you know. And it might sound a bit glib, but at the root, it's a good point. Art is rooted in human experience. There might be a limited number of original stories out there, but there's an unlimited number of ways in which to tell them. What you bring to the act of creation is yourself. AI isn't rooted in human experience. It can't share an experience with you. All it's doing is essentially pulling semi-randomly from a huge repository of stolen data. That's not world experience, and you shouldn't subcontract your you-ness. But what AI might be able to do is to provide a framework where intricately crafted, intentional stories can be explored. Great stories are about quality, not scale. When we set out to create any work of art, we really should be talking about making something good, not something big. When we collaborate with another person, say a writer and an artist working together, sharing their lived experiences, often that will result in something even better. But while humans are great for soul, what AI can do is scale. The question then is whether we want that scale and what we do with it. Do we or our players want 20 well-crafted, well-written lines of funny dialogue, or do we want 20,000 generic ones? To answer that question, I want to focus on this quote from the legendary Ursula K. Le Guin. Having intelligence, we must not act in ignorance. Having choice, we must not act without responsibility. For me, this is something that's essential to keep in mind when talking and thinking about generative AI. Because as we saw, going back to the start, stories are shared experiences. They're not just our experience of the thing, but they're our experience of how that thing was made, the act of creation that went into it. Generative AI and AI might have its uses in certain situations. Maybe it can even help to tell a story, but it can't create one. And most of all, it can't share that experience with you. AI would never lock the butler in the freezer. And that's because that's a human mistake. So maybe what that means is that the accidents that make the best stories are ultimately human as well.